Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar today on implementing Oracle Primavera Analytics. This webinar is brought to you by Volantic. We are an Oracle Platinum partner, and we have kind of some more people logging in here, but a brief overview of what the presentation is going to have is we're going to do some introductions to begin with, describe our speakers, and then we're going to go over a brief product overview so everyone's familiar with what P6 Analytics is. And then we're going to get into the implementation techniques and some really keys to having success with it. This presentation will be very useful for people who are evaluating taking on P6 Analytics, maybe some who are just looking to learn more, or even some who are looking to implement it themselves as consultants or service providers. So I'll go ahead and get it started here. Our speaker today will be Darren Holt. He is the technical lead for Volantic. He's the guy that comes in and does all the installations, does all the configurations and integrations. Darren's got over 12 years of Oracle technology experience installing Oracle Primavera, Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition, and experience with Oracle EBS as well. Darren holds 3 majors business from University of Irvine in computer science, material engineering, and chemical engineering. Some of his hobbies are karate and poker. This is myself. I'm Peter Smith. I do business development for Volantic. I'll be talking about the application features, and then I will turn it over to Darren to talk about the implementation, which is going to be the majority of this presentation. I hold 7 years of project management experience. I've got a BS from Chico State in construction management. I also have a LEED AP, which is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, accredited professional. I'm involved with several professional organizations, and my hobbies include fitness competitions, movies, and Dale Carnegie classes. So to start out, to make sure everyone is familiar, I want to answer what the application is. For some of you who might be somewhat familiar with P6 Analytics, this will be kind of a reminder. For those of you who are not, this will be pretty important to understanding the keys to implementing it, and so on. So what is P6 Analytics? Well, how Oracle Primavera defines it is a package application for gathering, sorting, analyzing, sharing, and providing access to project data to help enterprises make better decision making. Essentially a management tool to answer key questions like what happened, what is happening, why did it happen, what will happen, and what do I want to happen. So essentially, it's really a great tool for organizing and collecting your data. And to help simplify what it is it's a pre-built application which sits upon Oracle's Business Intelligence Foundation. The Business Intelligence Foundation is the robust data warehouse which collects the data, and the P6 Analytics is a pre-built application that allows you to analyze the data and has all the features to it. So some of you are probably wondering, well, what is pre-built and what exactly does that mean, being a pre-built application upon Oracle's Business Intelligence Foundation? And this slide shows you here of some of the comparison of a pre-built application on Oracle's BI versus building it from scratch. So essentially, the P6 Analytics is a pre-built ETL, that's extract, transform, and load. It's a pre-built data warehouse design, and it's got specific metrics and dashboards, about 90 of them pre-built within the application. So this allows you to get in and compare your data to industry best practices, and it's going to provide you a lot quicker way of doing so than if you were trying to build an application from scratch off of Oracle's Business Intelligence platform. So on the left here, it shows you in quarters or years the effort it takes to build from scratch. On the right, it shows what happens when you have P6 Analytics and you're able to really deploy it faster and so on. And usually what we see with our clients is they start out with all the pre-built and then they move to customization from there. And we're going to get into that a little bit later on in this presentation. A lot of people on this webinar are probably familiar with P6 EPPM, and a lot of the questions we typically get are what are the differences between the reporting engine in P6 EPPM being BI Publisher, and what the differences with that in Primavera P6 Analytics. And this slide really best defines what those differences are. So on the left, you can see it's got P6 EPPM BI Publisher. And this will allow you to produce reports and static content for really information sharing. Should be able to generate those reports as PDFs and send them out. They won't be that interactive style which allows you to analyze, where on the right here we have P6 Analytics. It really has that information discovery feature that allows you to trend your data and that interactive drill through dashboards to have your analytic workflow to really gain much more insight into those. So to kind of further on and explain what the application does, I'll give you an example of how you may use it. So here's an example of a day in the life of let's say, Bob Smith, who's a program manager, manages multiple projects in his company. Every Friday he gets an automated email, which is kind of shown here in this graphic on the right, from P6 Analytics with a report that he likes to view. He opens it up, and within there he can either open it up in a PDF or a web page or so on of a report that he likes to view automatically. And he can get that important project information right at the tip here. And then from here, he can navigate and click right into P6 Analytics. And from logging into P6 Analytics, you might be looking at something like this, which is his main dashboard page. The dashboard pages are role-based and customized and allow you to get that 30,000 kind of feet up view of what's going on in your projects. This is an example of early stage projects behind schedule, which is kind of those pre-built dashboards that come with analytics. In this case, some of you who are probably schedulers are wondering what exactly does the early stage projects behind schedule mean. Well, in this instance, they're defining as early stage as projects which are less than 40% project percent complete, and behind schedule being defined as less than 0.95 schedule performance index. So it takes those kind of best industry practice and metrics and allows you to load your data into them and analyze to see how you're doing. Not only on top of that, but you've got the interactive ability. So if you look here kind of on the top where it's got some filters, this will allow you to really slice and dice your data and really select certain projects, portfolios, or other information to filter and analyze data accordingly. Not only can you view it in a dashboard view like this, but you can also view it in more of a portfolio view and get that similar slicing and dicing. Also, what this is showing right here is your data trended over time. So if you look here at kind of the scorecard of the portfolio, it's got 07, 08, 09, and so on, and data trended to look at past performance and future performance to really get that insight into your organization, your portfolio. In addition to looking at that portfolio view within analytics, you can drill down further and look at specific project metrics and information, which this screen is showing an example of getting into one project and even getting more into the WBS levels within that project, being the work breakdown structure, and getting really analytical information to that level. And then from here, when you kind of drill into where the problem areas may be, you can open P6 EPPM, and you can take those corrective actions and correct that information. Analytics is not in the application you log in and you put data input into. P6 is where you're going to put your information into, and then P6 Analytics is going to allow you that analysis, which I just kind of showed and displayed. So not only can you kind of go through those measures and drill through it, but you can take a lot of your favorite reports and dashboards and you can organize them into a briefing book, which allows you basically to take them on the go. Download them into a PDF, save them to a flash drive, and bring them to a meeting, which really allows you to kind of share that with other people and take that on the go and really organize your reports and share them well. So to summarize the features here before I turn it over to Darren, this slide just kind of shows a generalization of all the features you get with P6 Analytics. And the interactive dashboards kind of up there in the left corner is what I really kind of focused on. It gives you that ability to drill into your analysis and really kind of interact and slice and dice with it. The scorecard is going to allow you to look at your key performance indicators, your KPIs, and trend your data over time. In addition to that, you were able to browse this information mobily through your mobile devices, and you're also able to visualize this more with strategy maps, where you develop a strategic plan maybe for types of projects you'd like to execute, and then measure how that plan gets executed with that visualization. In addition to that, it's got secure search, so you know only the right people with the right access will be able to see that information. It has Microsoft Office integration, so you're able to export your reports to Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and then play around with them within there. And you're also able to take data out of P6 Analytics and embed it in applications. So you're able to take out those graphs, those dashboards, and you can display that in other applications or even on a website to make available to people, or a portal page, for instance. We've seen that as well. And then it also has the ability to do that production reporting, that static reporting, where you're able to get these really powerful PDF reports to share with the meetings or with other colleagues. They can be automated and run and emailed out to distribution lists automatically. And then on top of that, there is a geographical visualization, which really allows you to look at your data in more of a map and geographical features to see maybe where areas your projects are doing well in and what geographical areas your projects are struggling in. And in addition to that, you can't find the data within your pre-built dashboards and so on. You can do ad hoc analysis and really search all the data that's been collected for what you're looking to find. If any of you have questions during this presentation, please feel free to enter them into the Q&A area, and we will be sure to answer them. So, in addition to this stuff, a new release of P6 Analytics just came out, P6 Analytics 3.1, and just some quick features that were updated in this. They allowed some more key performance indicators for companies that might be in the oil and gas or utilities that perform shutdown, turnaround, and outage schedules, as well as some new features like daily history, some new features which allow you to utilize your user-defined fields and codes, as well as some altering in the back end for that ETL customization. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to our presenter, Darren Holt, who's going to go over his experience with implementing it. Darren, I'm going to take you off mute here. Go ahead, Darren.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, so what I want to talk about now is kind of the keys to success for any implementation. We'll look at managing, planning, and execution. Take control real quick. Peter, it looks like I can't. There we go. Okay. In terms of management, one of the things we like to look at is communication and project status. So what we'll look at is the budget, schedule, and scope, making sure that all stays on track. As scope changes or as the schedule changes, we're going to be able to communicate that to key players within the organization. Also, we look to the client for obligations. And those obligations involve things like assigning a project champion to the project, assigning key roles, and managing expectations and deliverables. As part of planning a business intelligence, I want to put together an assessment. So what we want to do is we want to go out and look at what your current reporting looks like and do a gap analysis to look at what BI is currently delivering to you, and then be able to put a BI plan of action together based on your IT cases within your organization. This also involves going through a certain amount of discovery, really understanding how your organization works, how your business processes work, and what your key performance indicators are. Because what happens is, as part of BI and analytics, it's an interactive application, which means that not only are there dashboards, but there's drill down. So we can look at information from a 20,000-foot level and go all the way down to a very granular level. So it's very important for us to be able to mirror that to both your business processes and your key performance indexes. Now, a typical planning is usually one of three implementations. Obviously, the most simplest implementation is moving data from Primavera database into your data warehouse via ETL, which is extract, transform, and load. It gets a little more complicated when we start talking about doing it from multiple Primavera data sources. So, for example, if you have multiple business units and they are siloed, P6 Analytics has the ability to pull from multiple data sources into one analytics package. And the third case is kind of the holy grail of business intelligence, being able to pull from multiple data sources. So not only pulling from Primavera, but also being able to pull from your ERP system, for example, financial data, HR data, and be able to really bubble up the information we want into those dashboards. Now, a typical BI implementation is a little bit like an iceberg. So what happens is, at the top 10%, that's where we see all the dashboards and the interactive drill downs. But the majority of the work actually occurs below the surface, which most users don't see. This is where we talk about your data acquisition, managing the information lifecycles, integration security, business processes, upgrades, etc. So what does that really look like? Well, a typical effort, I'm going to go from the bottom and work our way up. The most time-consuming thing is looking at your ETL, looking at how we're going to extract, transform, and load your data. So there's a certain amount of analysis that occurs in order to understand what data we want and how we want to move it across. Then we move it up to the next level, which is your data warehouse schema. This is where we actually start designing it and trying to understand what dimensions and facts we want to actually incorporate from the data that we receive from your different databases. Then on top of that, we get to your metadata or your business logic. And this is where we start getting your derived metrics, your custom drill paths, and really start exposing a lot of this data. And then finally, we get to that top 10% again, which is the dashboards and reporting and actually being able to see all those drill downs that we had seen before. So typically, we'll put together a project plan, and a project team usually consists of a project manager, an ODIE architect, a dashboard and report creator, and an ETL resource. Often for smaller projects, the ODIE architect and ETL resource are one resource, but on larger projects, that actually gets expanded out and probably into more roles. So as part of that execution, we're going to validate what we put together. So we want to make sure that the workflow that goes from Primavera into BI actually is a smooth transition and is actually exposing the data that we want to see. So as part of execution, the configuration will look something similar to this, where we actually have your Primavera P6 database. We will ETL, which is extract, transform, and load, into an ODS, which is your operational data store. At this point, you can see static operational reporting within BI Publisher. It should be noted here that whereas P6 allows you to have both a SQL Server and an Oracle installation, analytics is Oracle database only. So if you're actually existing on a Microsoft SQL Server install of Primavera, there's an additional step here where we'd actually have to put an Oracle gateway in to do the translation from SQL Server to Oracle. Once the information moves from the ODS, we actually move it into the data warehouse or your STAR database. At this point, we can actually do analytical reporting against the data that we've moved across. So what does a typical environmental install look like? Well, it's going to be a three-tiered system. So at the bottom level, you're going to have your data warehouse. In the middle layer, you're going to have your actual application data. And at the top layer, it's going to be that top 10%, and which is your presentation layer. So looking at this diagram and starting from the bottom, obviously we have our federated data sources. So that's going to be things like your Primavera data, your Oracle data, EBS, PeopleSoft, custom Excel spreadsheets. And all that information is going to be ETL'd in, which again is extract, transform, and load. And that is either done through Oracle's ODI or through Informatica. Oracle also has created something called a DAC, which is the Data Warehouse Administration Console, which allows you to manage how this ETL is pulled across. Then at that middle layer, which is the Oracle BI Server, this is where you start to customize this data, where we start looking at your metrics, your KPIs, your logical models and subject areas, and then actually creating a physical map to to what is actually going to be seen on the dashboards. And then in that top presentation layer, this is where you actually start seeing the dashboards by roles, your drill downs, your real analysis and analytical pieces. So, and then we finally get to that top 10%, which is where all the sizzle is. This is where you can see these interactive dashboards that Peter was talking about. We're actually able to drill down and really understand at a very granular level what is occurring within your organization. So, and then finally, as part of the execution plan, we devise a roll-up plan to be able to roll this out to the entire organization. On top of that, we also provide training, and that's in the form of either on-site, virtual, or UPK. And the typical types of training that we offer are building repositories, creating analysis and dashboards, and system administration for the whole BI system. And with that, Peter, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Darren. So just a couple of our client stories of how we've implemented this in the past. An example of one customer we did who was in the healthcare industry was using P6 EPPM to manage their IT projects. So a little history about this client is they were using a lot of Excel in the past to manage not only projects but manage their finances as well. So they went through a big initiative. They bought Oracle JDE, J.D. Edwards, and they also bought Oracle P6 EPPM and then P6 Analytics. And really to kind of overcome that challenge of their financial reporting, financial forecast, and resource management. So what was done there in the solution was P6 EPPM was implemented, as well as P6 Analytics, as well as the integration between P6 EPPM and J.D. Edwards. And P6 Analytics worked so well for this organization of drawing in data not only from P6's database, but from J.D. Edwards' database, that they ended up doing a lot of their financial forecasting and reporting out of P6 Analytics. So really having that insight and that forecast to look forward is really powerful. J.D. Edwards is an ERP system for accounting and so on, and is really great for documenting what has happened in the past. And then P6 EPPM, P6 Analytics gives you that forward-looking planning view for financial forecasts and so on. And really the benefits that they got out of that is the ability to have a lot more insight into their financial planning and project finances. Another client reference we've done this for was a client in the public sector for their construction management department. And they were using P6 and contract management to manage their current projects. And the challenge they had was they had kind of contract management managing a lot of costs and so on, and you had P6, and as a public agency having to do kind of make information available to the public and even do budgetary planning. It was tough to take the data from different sources and put it into one area for the budgetary planning or for sharing to the public. So the solution was that they took P6 Analytics, we implemented it for them, and in addition to that, we modified and customized P6 Analytics to take in contract management data as well. So for those of you on the call who are familiar with contract management, the document management, document creation, and cost control solution. Recently, Oracle bought a solution called Unifier, which has similar use to it as well. So this agency took, that system as well as their scheduling system, pulled that data into analytics for not only management and better budgetary planning, but also a goal to be able to share this with their public, constituents on a website available to them with kind of a geographical look, with those geographical features of what projects are going on when, and so on, and make this available to the public because it is, a tax-funded projects. So to summarize the services we offer around P6 Analytics, Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition, and P6 in general, we offer strategic consulting for companies that are really looking to start their BI initiative, their Business Intelligence Initiative. And this is a great way for companies who might not know where to start or are having trouble getting kind of traction in their organization for change. We oftentimes get hired to do an assessment which benchmarks where they are with their business intelligence, then build requirements and a roadmap which identifies a lot of areas for them to improve upon and gain really kind of growth for their BI and analytics growth. In addition to that, we offer implementation services, so kind of what we discussed today. where we can come in and really look at the process, take a design and do a global data design for the organization. Very useful for clients who are using multiple P6 data sources and have all these different types of data floating around to come in and make a global data design. And for the customers who might be newer to P6 or P6 Analytics, change management is a great tool for user adaptation. We do offer training on P6 Analytics for people who are interested in that, whether you be consultants, clients, or so on. We offer training in P6 Analytics, Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition, and also P6 in general. Classes which are kind of more relevant to what we talked about today might be building dashboards or even using BI Publisher to build reports, and we'd be happy to help any of you out with that. We offer our training either on-site, virtual, or on-demand, where you access our web environment and go through our recorded tutorials on your own pace. And in addition to that, our technical services, which allow us to do more integration, the data sourcing, kind of the stuff that Darren talked about with that architecture. And we're also very happy to partner with clients and consultants who look to take on a portion of their work for their clients but need a technical resource. We reach out to that. So at this point, we've kind of gone through and definitely hit on a lot of points. I'll open it up for questions. If you have questions, please type them into the Q&A portion of it. All these slides will be available and shared with you afterwards, and there'll be an email of the recorded presentation sent to you as well. So Troy, you're the one handling questions. What might be some of the questions that have been put in so far? I think I got you on mute here, Troy, so I will unmute you. Okay, Troy, you're off mute.
Great. So couple 3-4 questions we have. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So a couple of the questions we have, I'll throw it out to the team that's answering here. One of them came up during the question of databases, probably for Darren. How will P6 Analytics connect to multiple P6 databases? Sometimes I have projects that are so diverse and so specialized that I have to create separate instances of the P6 databases. I attempt to keep all schedules. Go ahead. I attempt to keep all of my schedules in a central enterprise database. However, it's not always possible. If I develop analytics, will I be able to leverage that for multiple databases?
Yeah, the short answer to that is yes. The long answer to that is it goes back to that initial slide that we had up that talked about the 3 different types of implementations. And the power of business intelligence is such that you can have multiple, not only can you have multiple Primavera instances, but you can also have multiple databases. It could be an Oracle database. It could be a SQL Server database. It could be Excel spreadsheet. What happens is then you have to create a custom ETL that's going to extract, transform, and load that data into the data warehouse. So it really doesn't matter what your data is. That's the power of the BI. Is actually it enables you to pull all that data all the way through.
Okay. Another question that we received out there is the one we always get. So Darren, you're going to get to dance around this one. What is the typical implementation time to bring up the delivered system for P6 Analytics?
So for a typical installation for P6 Analytics, and this is just out of the box, is usually about 3 to 5 weeks. Usually what occurs during that process is we'll go ahead and bring up a generic or out-of-the-box P6 Analytics package, and then during that we'll actually go through discovery as well to look at what other customizations and or discovery we want to use for implementing that. So that 3 to 5 weeks can get extended out longer depending on how much customization the organization wants to do.
Okay. Let's see, scroll down. What are the benefits of connecting to HR or finance systems in the environment?
So, again, this is what I was talking about before. This is kind of the holy grail of business intelligence. Is it gives you one pure source of information to go to. So you don't have to log into your ERP system to see how your resources are doing within HR, and then go back into Primavera and look at scheduling. And the same thing with finance, and being able to tie that all together. It really unifies all your data together in one location.
And please, anyone, if you guys have more questions or want us to expand on these answers, feel free to throw them into the chat box or into the QA box, and we can get to those as well. We've got one more here, Darren. Are you seeing customers using the roles-based dashboards to drive their day-to-day business?
Yeah, typically the way API gets used, it's not only used on a daily basis, it's used multiple times a day. So what we'll see is managers come in, get those custom emails that are sent out to them, and be able to make actionable decisions based on the information that's available to them.
Okay. How many clients has Volantic successfully implemented P6 Analytics? I believe we are up to 9 now. In the healthcare example you mentioned, was the JDE data also can the JDE data also be shown in P6 Analytics?
Yeah.
Darren, you want to catch that with the PIP connection?
Yeah, again, this goes back to what we were talking about before, is that, yeah, we're able to bring in J.D. Edwards data, you can bring in EDS data, you can bring in PeopleSoft data, you can bring in customized Excel spreadsheets, as well as the Primavera data. BI is data agnostic. It doesn't care where the data comes from, and you're able to put in data from literally any data source and be able to pull it into the data warehouse.
Okay. Okay, here's a good one for us, guys, and this will be a great question that we're all going to answer. Does P6 Analytics currently integrate with Unifier?
Yes, it does. The way Unifier works is it puts together business processes. So as part of a Unifier implementation, you can actually have workflow that says go out to Primavera, do some work within Primavera and or P6 Analytics, and then come back in as part of that workflow.
Okay. Let's see. We've got, okay, so Darren, here's a good question about getting actual expenditures into analytics. How do you get your actual expenditures into analytics?
Again, this goes to that ETL process. Depending on where that data actually resides, we can create a custom ETL to pull that data into the data warehouse.
Right, and that can either be user-defined fields, or it can come from your contract system. It can come from your original source of record and be pulled into P6 Analytics and be displayed either via answers or via a custom dashboard or delivered dashboard inside P6 Analytics. Let's see, I've got an MS Office integration question. Will that allow P6 Analytics to deliver table data and then utilize Microsoft Excel functions to create highly customized graphs?
Yeah, what you can do is that within any dashboard and or any drill down, you have the ability to export this into Word, Excel, PDF, and depending on how complicated you want to make that export, it can be as simple as a simple Excel spreadsheet or more complicated, depending on your level of difficulty.
Right. Okay. Is there any other questions you guys would like to chime in or have us expand on any of the questions we've answered at this point?
I saw another one I'm going to answer real quick. Someone was asking what the difference between OBIEE is and BI. They're identical. BI is just the short version of Business Intelligence. OBIEE is Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition. There really is no difference. One's just a shorthand for the other.
Okay. Great. Okay, anyone else? Okay, Peter, I'll turn it back over to you then.
Thanks, Troy. I appreciate the questions. For everyone who is on here, a recording of this webinar will be emailed out, and we appreciate any of your feedback, and we really appreciate all of your time today. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us at info@volantic.com. Phone numbers on the website here, or visit our website at www.volantic.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Goodbye.